park had been closed for years, yet the memory of it lingered like an infection in the town's mind. No one could remember exactly when the gates were locked, or why the laughter stopped. It stood on the edge of Willowmere Forest, behind a wall of rusted iron and ivy, its welcome sign hanging by a single chain, Laughing Hollow Children's Park. The letters were faded, the wood warped, but the smiling clown painted above them still grinned wide and bright, untouched by time. On the final evening of summer, when thunder growled at the horizon and the sky sank into bruised violet, 5 friends decided to break the lock and go inside. They weren't kids anymore. Mara, Jace, Renee, Eli, and Theo, all in their 20s now, had grown up with stories about this place. Their parents told them not to play near it. Their teachers crossed themselves if someone even mentioned its name. But rumor always burns hotter when it's forbidden, and the park had called to each of them since childhood. Mara led the group, flashlight in hand, her grin sharper than the wind. 1 hour, she said. We explore, record everything, then leave. If it's haunted, we'll know. Eli, the quietest of the 5, watched the gate sway in the wind. They said a kid died here, he murmured. They said a lot of things, Jace replied. He kicked at the padlock, eyes restless. Some said the rides move by themselves. Some said you can still hear the kids laughing. Renee gave a nervous laugh, tucking her blonde hair behind her ear. Or screaming. Theo, who'd been filming since they arrived, didn't look up from his phone. This'll blow up, he said. First-hand footage of the haunted park. No edits. No fake jump scares. Mara jammed a crowbar through the lock, and with one violent twist, the gate gave way. The sound was awful. Metal shrieking against metal, echoing through the woods like a scream. The air seemed to stop moving. Even the trees stilled. They stepped inside, and the gate swung shut behind them. The moment they crossed the threshold, the air changed. It was colder, thicker, as if the world beyond the fence had been cut away. The park stretched out in silence before them, the ghost of a carnival. A carousel stood in the center, horses frozen mid-gallop, their paint peeled and faces cracked open into jagged smiles. A Ferris wheel leaned crookedly nearby, vines crawling up its frame. Stalls and snack stands sagged beneath years of neglect, their awnings torn, their signs half No birds, no wind, just the faint hum of something unseen. Smells like old candy, Renee said softly. Smells like death, Eli answered. Mara lifted her light toward the carousel. That's where we start. They approached it slowly, their footsteps crunching over shards of glass and dried leaves. The platform was covered in grime, but the horses looked almost wet, as though freshly painted. Mara reached out and ran her hand along one. The texture wasn't right. Not wood, not metal. Something softer. When she pushed, the carousel shifted slightly, creaking under its own weight. Then a faint melody began to play. The 5 froze. It was a carousel tune, warped and slow, like an old record melting in heat. The horses began to move. Lights blinked to life around the rim, pale yellow bulbs sputtering like dying fireflies. Who the hell turned that on? Jace whispered. No one spoke. The carousel picked up speed, spinning faster, the song swelling louder and sharper until it was a shriek of twisted notes. Mara raised her flashlight and saw, through the blur of moving horses, a figure sitting astride one of them. Small. Still, a child. It wore a paper clown mask, white with red cheeks and a drawn-on grin. Theo, Mara's voice trembled. Are you getting this? Theo's camera light flickered as he zoomed in. Yeah, wait. The carousel stopped. The music cut out mid-note. The masked child turned its head. The mask smiled wider, the paper splitting down the middle. Behind it, something darker grinned back. The mouth stretched too far, and the sound that came wasn't laughter. It was screaming, a raw, endless wail that filled every inch of the park. They ran. Theo dropped his camera. Renee was already sobbing. Jace grabbed Eli's arm and sprinted toward the gate, but when they reached it, there was no gate anymore. Just fence running endlessly in both directions, disappearing into mist. Eli hit the metal bars. It's gone, Mara, it's gone. Nar. But keep moving, she shouted, dragging Renee by the wrist. But the park had changed. Paths that led one way now turned another. Signs hung at crooked angles, their letters rearranged. Funhouse became House of None. Cotton Candy became Cut and Candy. Behind them, the carousel began to play again. The tune was faster now. Closer. They ducked behind an old snack stand, panting. Inside, the air was thick with sweetness and decay. The counter was covered in ancient popcorn boxes, and the smell of syrup clung to everything. Renee was shaking. What was that thing? Oh, Mara didn't answer. Her flashlight swept across the walls, revealing children's drawings pinned under cracked glass, colorful stick figures holding balloons, clowns with smiling faces, families beneath sunny skies. But in every picture, one figure was the same. A tall, thin clown with hollow eyes and a mouth that stretched across its face. In one drawing, the sun was black, and the children were lying down. Mara reached out. The glass was warm. A sound came from beneath the counter, faint, rhythmic. Like giggling. Do you hear that? She whispered. Renee nodded. Mara crouched down and lifted the fabric flap. A mouth was there, pressed against the floorboards. Just a mouth, lips cracked and bleeding, whispering in a child's voice. A stay and play. Mara screamed, stumbling backward. The laughter exploded, filling the stand, crawling into their ears until it became a single shrieking note. They burst out through the back door, gasping in the cold air. They ran again, this time toward the Ferris wheel. Its rusted cars swayed gently, though there was no wind. Theo! Theo! Mara shouted. Gizar. Theo, where are you? A voice answered, thin, distant. Here. He was standing under the Ferris wheel, his phone in hand, his face streaked with tears. The footage, he said hoarsely. It's wrong. What do you mean? Jace demanded. Theo turned the phone toward them. The video showed their group entering the park, but behind them there were dozens of children following, pale and silent, holding hands. None of the friends had seen them in real life. Stop watching that, Eli hissed. Delete it. Theo shook his head. Look at this part. He scrubbed forward. The video glitched, cutting to footage from moments ago, except now in the frame, Theo was standing behind himself, smiling. The camera light flickered and died. A deep groan came from above them. The Ferris wheel began to turn. The cars creaked one by one, rising slowly. But inside each one sat a shape. Children, dozens of them. Faces painted white, eyes black. The wheel turned faster, the groaning metal drowning out the wind. Renee backed away, whispering prayers. Mara grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the path. We need to find a way out. There has to be. A light flickered in the distance. The funhouse. It was the only thing still glowing, a pulsing red sign that read Laugh Your Way Home. Jay spat out a curse. You've got to be kidding me. The laughter from the carousel was growing louder again. There was nowhere else to go. They ran for the funhouse. Inside, mirrors lined the walls, cracked and streaked with age. The air was heavy and sweet, like rotting candy. Their reflections stretched and twisted, following them at odd angles. Stay close, Mara warned. They moved deeper in. Every step echoed strangely, like the floor was hollow. The lights flickered, turning their shadows into moving shapes. Theo raised his phone again, using its flashlight. We were almost through. Then his reflection reached out of the mirror and grabbed him. He screamed as the glass rippled and pulled him inside. His body vanished. His phone clattered to the floor, screen still recording. For a heartbeat, the others saw him trapped in the mirror, eyes wide, mouth open in silent terror, and then he was gone. Renee started sobbing. We have to leave, Mara, please. Eli turned, shining his light down the corridor. The mirrors ahead were no longer reflecting them. They were showing other children. Dozens of them, standing still, each with a mask and a balloon. Back, Eli whispered. Go back, but when they turned, the way they'd come had vanished, replaced by an hallway. A voice rose from the glass, and not a scream this time, but a soft sing-song whisper. Around and round and round you go. Who goes missing next, you know? The laughter followed, bouncing off every surface, multiplying until it was impossible to tell where it came from. The floor tilted. The mirrors rippled like water. Mara grabbed Renee's hand and ran. They burst through a curtain at the far end and found themselves standing in the carousel again. The horses were still moving. The same child sat on the same one, mask smiling. But now there were others. Rows of children standing around the ride, watching silently. Their faces were pale, their eyes gone. Each held a red balloon that pulsed faintly, as though filled with something alive. Jace whispered, Oh, where's Theo? The masked child tilted its head. Carousel stopped. From the shadows behind it, Theo stepped forward. His eyes were black, his smile too wide. It's fun here, he said. His voice wasn't his own. You should stay. Mara backed up slowly. Theo, don't. He raised a finger to his lips. Shh, they don't like loud noises. The children began to move closer, dragging their feet, balloons bumping against one another with soft pops. Each pop released a faint giggle. Eli swung his flashlight toward them. The beam cut through mist and caught a glimpse of something behind the children, a huge shape, tall as a tree, stooping low. It was the clown, the same one from the drawings, face stretched, eyes hollow, mouth wide enough to swallow a scream. Its hands were long and thin, ending in sharpened nails that clicked against the metal ride. Play, it whispered. And don't grow up. The ground trembled. The carousel began spinning faster until the children blurred into a single ring of motion. The air filled with shrieks and laughter that blended into one horrible sound. Renee fell to her knees, clutching her ears. Jace tried to pull her up, but the ground cracked open beneath him, and a dozen pale hands reached out, dragging him down. His screams cut off as the dirt sealed shut over him. Eli grabbed Mara and ran toward the fence again, but every direction looked the same now. Patio looping back, signs rearranging, the sky swirling overhead like liquid. Behind them, Renee's voice rose in a final scream. Then silence. Only two were left. They reached what looked like the entrance, but the gate was no longer metal. It was wood, shaped like a clown's mouth, open and welcome. Inside its dark throat, faint lights shimmered like stars. Eli hesitated. This isn't real. None of this is... Amara took his hand. It's the only way out. They stepped through. Darkness swallowed them. The world inside was quiet, muffled. They could hear each other breathing but saw nothing. Then the ground beneath them shifted and the lights came on. Dim, flickering bulbs strung above their heads. They were standing in the park again. But it wasn't night, it was morning. The rides looked new. Fresh paint, balloons, laughter, children everywhere, parents smiling. The air filled with sunlight and joy. Mara looked down.